Yeah, let's go.
So we may as well go ahead. Do you want to hit recording or do you want me to?
I just, there,
Oh,
yep,
there we
okay.
go. Awesome. Hi, everybody. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today we will be hearing from Emily Larson from Uproot in Colorado. She will be sharing some of the systems and tools that have helped Uproot streamline their harvest workflows. So that will be anywhere from scheduling gleans to tracking volunteers, collecting data in the field with Salesforce, all kinds of things. And I have a really great quote from her. When we make the behind the scenes workflow better, we free up more energy for the mission that really matters, which is getting food to those who need it. So well said, Emily. First, just a couple of quick announcements for everybody. I'm going to drop some stuff in the chat here. Um, whoops, this is not working. Oh no. Oh no, it's too big. Hang on. Oh no. Okay, wait. Send. Okay. So can you believe it is June already? I cannot. We got a couple of things in the works here. There's a big blueberry glean happening in Bow, Washington. Details in the chat. All are welcome. This glean is hosted by Skagit Gleaners and brings together volunteers, farms, food access champions to harvest thousands of pounds of blueberries for hunger relief in our region. You'll be able to pick up food and bring it back to your own organizations at this event, so don't miss it. Bring your trucks and bins and volunteers. Again, the sign up link is in the chat. We will be having no Zoom meeting in July. We are beginning our kind of every other month cadence from here on out. So thank you all to responding for our surveys. This should make it a little bit easier for folks who haven't been able to join us thus far, and also respects all of your time during this busy season. And hopefully we can start to find ways we can meet more in person between these informational Zoom meetings, whether it's big gleans or in-person workshops or field trips to check out different gleaning orgs around the state. So stay tuned for that. Um, Next in August, we will be hearing from Elise Bowman of Salem Harvest in Oregon and Leanne Barron of Skagit Gleaners, who are going to be sharing their expertise on harvesting strategies for gleaners. So be ready to glean their techniques, including tips, tools, storage, and transportation, and come ready to share yours. That's going to be a good one. Next, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the folks in Okanagan who are working hard to put together their gleaning program out there. It's a really exciting development. They're now having conversations with UV Mind in Leavenworth and Fish in Ellensburg, and they've been discussing how they can kind of start their own kind of group gleans and other collaborative work on that side of the state. It's an awesome community coming together on the east side. Additionally, we have just finished the first phase of the Gleaner Guides projects with the students from University of Washington. So we'll soon be launching that resource for all to use. Keep an eye out for that information. Quick plug for AGO. They're conducting their 2025 gleaning census with an opportunity to also be part of the SARE measurement study and earn up to $2,000 a month for your gleaning program. Big thank you to those who have already participated and for those who haven't yet. Details in the chat. Next up, I am also excited to announce we are going to be onboarding an AmeriCorps Vista member next week. Some of you might be aware that the Vista cycle is like 3 years. I did the first and second year of the Vista project, which was building the foundations for this gleaning network. And she will be coming to wrap up the third year and help us develop resources for social media presence with the gleaning network. Her name is Jen, and you will be seeing her at upcoming meetings and events. And last announcement, I promise, an invite was sent through email recently for a really special farm to food pantry meeting happening this afternoon, where HopeLink is going to present their mobile market program. So please join us if you're able. Again, details are in the chat. So, all right, with that, I will hand it over to Emily.
Do we want to just do introductions so that Emily knows who's in the room?
You know what? We are a really small group here. So yeah, let's do introductions. I'll start. I'm Sarah. I am the Washington Gleaning Network Program Specialist at Harvest Against Hunger. I did 2 years as an AmeriCorps Vista helping develop the foundations of this network, and really excited to continue working with you all. I'll pass it to David.
Okay, David Bobanek, I'm the Executive Director here at Harvest Against Hunger. How about Leanne? And then Leanne,
Hey,
send it to whomever you want next.
Okay, perfect. Hi everyone, I'm Leanne with Skagit Gleaners. I am the gleaning coordinator. I'll send it to Alana.
Hi, my name's Alana. I'm the gleaning coordinator at Upper Valley Mend in Leavenworth. Emily, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi everyone. I am Emily Larson and I work for Uproot, Colorado. I am the program manager for the Front Range area, and I'm the gleaning coordinator for Boulder and Broomfield County. And I just got off a glean, so bear with me. I'm outside at a coffee shop nearby, so with good internet, so that's good. How about Brendan?
Hi, y'all. I'm Brendan Finch. I am the director and gleaning coordinator in Spokane, Washington for Spokane Edible Tree Project. Um, and how about Grace?
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm the food rescue coordinator at Fish, and I'm just trying to learn about gleaning and see how I can apply it to the food bank. Oh, and Fish is in Ellensburg.
Thanks, Grace. I was going to mention that. Yes. And I think Laura has not gone yet, and Faith has not gone yet.
My name is Faith. I am the director of CTK Food Share and Farm, which is up in Bellingham, Washington, for a gleaning program and farm and lots of other things, and just get food to local food banks and stuff.
Laura, do you want to?
Hello. Sarah invited me. My name is Laura Porfirio. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I am connected to a gleaning organization here, Iskashita. Thanks to Iskashita and Ago, I was invited to present at the symposium, and I made some new connections and I found some new people that I want to stay connected to. So I'm happy to just sit in today. My expertise is in storytelling and as a tool for like data and advocacy and awareness building. Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks for
Okay.
joining us. Awesome. Nice to meet you guys. The ones that I haven't met yet. Nice to see familiar faces as well. And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Emily.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me and inviting me to kind of share what we're doing at Uproot. To give you a background, we integrated Salesforce probably about a year and a half ago. Now, we started doing it in the off season, and we, uploaded all of the previous season's information, data. And so we basically have like 2 full seasons, and now we're going on our 3rd season of data in Salesforce. The main reason, to give you guys some background, why would we take the leap to go to Salesforce? There's a whole plethora of reasons why we kind of did this. It's great data tracking, so you do have to enter the information. So obviously there can be human error there, but after that, you have all of your data in one location, in one system. So for us, it reduced our spreadsheets. We have, multiple gleaning coordinators and multiple counties, and the spreadsheets were getting kind of out of control for us, with each region. And it kind of increases, error, because you then have to take the numbers out of the spreadsheet and try to total them, and total them across the whole company was getting really cumbersome and actually quite time consuming. We also have we had donor spreadsheets. So all of our donor contacts are the gifts that come in, or grants. It's all in one. It's all in Salesforce. So it really streamlined a lot of kind of the behind the scenes for us. Additionally, you're getting very accurate data. Again, it's as accurate as you put it in, but all the calculations, it's done by, a system. So it's quite accurate. We give our producers receipts at the end of the season. And so we will have exactly what we gleaned from them or picked up from them, where it went, the number of pounds, and then they can actually fill out the tax reduction. And some of our farmers, a farmer just told me, this is actually significant for us. They're a fairly small farm, but we're getting 6,000 to 11,000 in tax deductions a year. And to us, that's a huge deal. So that whole process has been extremely simple for us now, whereas before it was this extremely, tons of hours to produce these receipts. And so all of this kind of then goes into grant writing when we have a couple contract grant writers, but we also, our co-directors are writing grants. And so when they would, need to have a certain number, or, every grant is slightly different. And of course, they always want the numbers. And so it would be a scramble and also time consuming and stressful to get the information from numerous spreadsheets. And I believe probably a lot of errors, happen because we're only human. So that kind of gives you guys a little background on like why we made this switch, what it does. And then I thought it would be really helpful to share with you guys kind of exactly, how we use this system, what it can do for us. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
We can.
Okay, great. And if you guys can't hear me or if the internet changes, let me know. I could always hotspot my phone. So let's see, where do I want to begin? So one of the things that, I guess I'll show you Salesforce. This is the interface that we interact with Salesforce. It's pretty intuitive in that, a lot of the categories are up top. We have all of our Glean records here. You can search the list. We have it sorted by date. And then you can create a Glean record. So every time I have a pickup, I have a Glean. It's a very straightforward form where I can type in the name of the farm and it comes right up, like Friends Farm. I select it. It's in our database. And then I can do the date, the time of the Glean, the type of Glean, and then I can do the coordinator, who's going to lead it. And then the key here, and can you guys see, okay, do I need to zoom in? Is it really small for you guys?
We're on a big screen here. How's everybody else? Maybe zoom in. There you go. That's probably good.
Okay. So this is the key here that is amazing for us. So I select this and it says list on the volunteer portal. And so what this does is I can fill out exactly how many volunteers we need, the duration expected for the event, Glean details. So basically a really quick summary, like come glean with us Thursday from 9 to 11. And we say the name of the town. And then here we can write in an email, a post email that will go out automatically to the volunteer once they sign up. And I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But this is really helpful because we don't include the name of the farm or the exact address in our flyers that we create advertising the events, just kind of to protect the farmer and so that people just don't show up unannounced. And so then in this post email, we will include all those details. This is the farm. This is all the specifics, how to, directions, if it's really tricky, where to park, there's a bathroom, there's not, here's what you should bring. Really all the nitty gritty details. And that is automatically sent out. So the reason why this is so cool is we have, like many organizations, a normal website that, let me just pull this down so I can access my. I'd rather get them modern.
You're muted, Emily.
Thank you. Sorry. So we have a normal website like most people. This is just when you uprootcolorado.org. And when you click on volunteer with us, it brings you to this interface. On this interface, you can view our upcoming volunteer opportunities. And this is actually a Salesforce site. And so when we check that box in Salesforce that says list on the volunteer portal, it automatically, lists it right here. And so this is a place where, our volunteers can just go to, see what events we have coming up across our entire Colorado. And then you can sign up for the event right here. You click on which one it is, where it's located, and then you can enter your volunteer information. Let me show you. And so basically you know, if you've already volunteered with us, you have an account, great, you enter your stuff. We also have a waiver, a liability waiver that they fill out in real time. And then they're signed up for this event. And so this actually then, all the volunteers go back into Salesforce. Like this is all automated. So it interacts very, very smooth, very nicely. And if you go to our Glean records, I can show you an example. Let's see. So this is a Glean I had today, and the volunteer signed up. And if I scroll to the bottom, this is the email that I wrote with all the details. If I scroll to the bottom, it'll show me who signed up. This automatically came into Salesforce. And now I can change, you know, their attendance, because sometimes they sign up, they don't show up, right? So we can now track, are they absent? Did the volunteer cancel? Give us notice. Was the Glean just canceled? Or did they just attend the event? We can also, it automatically defaults to the number of hours of the event, but a lot of times volunteers come late or leave early. And so we can kind of adjust the hours that the volunteer gleans. So it's really smooth we're fairly new to this, and our volunteers have reported like, hey, we really like your new system. It's really slick, you know, it's very easy. They can kind of go and see what's going on. They can quickly sign up, and then they get this email in real time right after, you know, confirming that they signed up with all the details. In the past, we have had to, you know, like the coordinator had to then send out an email with all the details, and it got kind of cumbersome because we try to wait till we get enough volunteers or wait till the last minute, but then volunteers were concerned they didn't have the details. And then, you know, our coordinators were running around and not always able to send the emails out at the right time. So this has really eliminated a lot of that stress and hassle. And it's just one of the ways that Salesforce has interacted with our whole system and made it much better. Does anyone have any questions before I move on?
I have a question. This is
Yeah.
David.
Hi,
So
David.
Salesforce. Who is your Salesforce lead for Uproot? Is that you, Emily? I know that we've used Salesforce before, and it looks like this is built out on Volunteers for Salesforce, that interface. Who's your Salesforce guru?
So so I'm not quite sure what you mean build out for volunteers. Like in this Glean, there's tabs for each kind of where it drops off. So
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I know that Salesforce has a widget called Volunteers for Salesforce.
Okay.
Which is the back end that connects this volunteer stuff to Salesforce. And
so I think I know what you're asking. Ezra is our contact at Salesforce, and he was at the AGO conference, and he presented with Matt. So we worked with both Matt and Ezra. Ezra now is so he's basically a contractor that we can ask for updates or any advice. I'm trying to, take more of the lead in Uproot to try to reduce our reliance on Ezra a little bit, but I don't have the programming skills about how this was all created, but that you do need to contract. I would advise you to contract with someone like that because, you can get the initial thing built, but you do need to tweak it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching this, Emily, and it's very impressive. And just thinking, my head's starting to explode a little bit about the back end programming work that went into this. So it's really impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Salesforce, you'll have to, contact them, but I know that they offer nonprofit rates.
Right.
And it's not a SaaS model, so it's not a subscription model. So we are not paying Salesforce every month, to have this. It was a one-time payment, which I think is a better, probably a better model for us at least. And then it's as needed, contracting with Ezra at his rate. So he's not even a part of Salesforce. He's just his own private
Yeah.
consultant. So
Okay.
it's worked really well for us. We feel like I hadn't had a lot of experience with Salesforce before this, and like I feel like I had no idea that like you can just make it your own. You can completely make it do what you want it to do.
Yeah. This is great. And I'm sorry, I took you off your workflow. So
Oh, it's all good.
circle back offline about this.
Yeah. So the way that we engage our volunteers initially is through MailChimp. So we basically create like, I'm sorry, there's a train. We create a very colorful, creative flyer that we then send out through a MailChimp campaign to like a listserv.
Keep that shop. It's quite loud. She said she was outside.
What?
She said she was outside at a coffee shop.
Sorry, there's a train going by that's very loud. I think it passed. So we have a listserv of like anyone who's ever signed up to be on our listserv, and a flyer goes out to that whole listserv and says, hey, we have a glean coming up. Here are some details. Sign up here. And when we say sign up here, we have a little link, and that brings, and so this is kind of like how we engage our volunteers initially. That brings them right to this upcoming volunteers page. So every flyer we send out, that's kind of the link. It's like, hey, here's what's going on, and here's where you can sign up. And then that's how we get them into our Salesforce. That's kind of our workflow product. So we do have to create, the event in Salesforce. Like I was showing you guys here, you have to create the Glean record, whether I'm just picking up or whether I'm creating an actual like volunteer needed help event. I start here, I put it in the system, I list it on the volunteer page, then I create a flyer. It's still a decent amount of work but we feel like it's as streamlined as it can kind of get. And we have templates for flyers and try to streamline that as well if we can. So I guess once all the Glean records are in, let me show you a Glean record so you guys can see the kind of information you can have in it. Let's see. Okay, so in this Glean record, if you scroll to the bottom, you can see we add Glean items, and that's where we actually track what was harvested, the total servings, the total pounds, and we like to also have the servings. So this is also really nice because it's just a conversion that's crop specific. And so we have a list of all of our crops in Salesforce, and then the conversion rate for how many servings per pound per variety of crop. And then we have our volunteers tab. So from there, we can figure out how many volunteers have interacted with us, their number of hours. We can also kind of start like, seeing patterns of like, hey, this volunteer always cancels and it never shows up, and maybe kind of address that, or, know that we can't count on that person as much. And then the final piece of this is you create a drop-off record as well. And that's where did the food go? The nice thing about this is when, I don't always bring it, as you guys probably find this too, I don't bring it to one spot per glean. And so this is really nice because I can split up all of the exact amounts of where it went, and it completely keeps track of all that. So then at the end of the year, a recipient goes, hey, how many pounds, what is it, what kind of crops, or how many pounds, what's the summary? I can very quickly, run a report and make that happen. And you might think this is kind of cumbersome, but it really goes pretty quickly once you get used to the filling out the forms and whatnot. It doesn't take me very long. It probably takes me 5 minutes per glean. Unless it's very complicated. I have tons of stuff going, tons of different locations, but it's a pretty quick process. So like with this drop off, everything is a drop off or a drop down menu, which is nice. And so once you add the Glean item to a Glean event, it'll pop up here. And this is also really nice because like as someone who's trying to like keep tabs on what's going on with our Salesforce, I can go and be like, okay, someone didn't make a home for these, right? There's no home. They're still outstanding from April. So I can kind of go to the coordinator and be like, hey, can you make sure that these produce have a drop-off location? So it kind of catches things, that might be mistakes. So you add in the pounds here, and then you just save it, and then that's it. So then it's all kind of kept in here. The top of this is just, I can go to the glean records, I can go to the drop-offs. There's just many ways you can view the data, I guess I would say.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Emily, may I ask
Yeah.
another quick question?
For
Can
sure.
you tell us the difference between what is a glean event and a non-glean event? I saw there were non-glean events also listed in this.
Yeah, that's a great question. A glean event is where we're actually going and harvesting the crops. For us, a non-glean event is something that we're on a farm, maybe with volunteers, but it's not necessarily harvesting. So we have a couple farmers that are now intentionally growing for us out here, and as part of that, they want us to help transplant the plants because it's all going to donation, it's all going for hunger relief, but we need to provide the labor. And because of how the labor laws are, we're able to do that because none of the crops are going for profit. And so we wouldn't really consider that a glean event because we're not harvesting, but we're mobilizing. It's an event. We're getting volunteers. So we still want to track it. So that's an example. We have educational events on the western slope where they do fruit tree pruning workshops to try to, help people learn how to care for their fruit trees better. And they do that in conjunction with CSU. So that's a really cool event, but that's called, I think we have another section called educational events. So we track that. So it just isn't exactly, we're doing a weeding event coming up, which again, we don't tend to do, but this farm is 100% for donation, all nonprofit. And so, we try to give a helping hand when we can.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let me just 1 second review my notes and make sure I covered kind of what I was thinking. So I guess it's like once you enter all the data, you might say like what now, right? Like how do we get the data out? And that's I think like where Salesforce really shines is the ability to create these reports. And so I think I'm going to ask Ezra to put a report tab up here because the way I get to the reports is like not the most streamlined, but we have all these reports that we created. And the cool thing is once you create a report, it will update in real time. Once you run the report, like the report is created, and if any new information is added, you just run the report again and it updates in real time. So it's sort of like once you get that infrastructure in, like I went through last season and I made a bunch of reports for all of our, that are specific for all of our glean coordinators in each region. So like in Boulder, for example, and they all kind of look the same. I do have like total glean by farm for the receipts. I have like a report that is just the recipient organization. So I'll click on that and kind of show you what that looks like. But say I added a recipient, hunger relief partner after I made this report, that's fine because it'll now catch it and update it in real time. So now I have from a push of a button, basically, and creating the reports is like fairly, once you get the hang of it, like I can do it now. It's not like I have to ask Ezra every time to create a report, but we have, the region, we have the account name, we have the primary contact. It's just, we have a description, we just have basic information. So like our coordinator can kind of if we have coordinator changeover, the information is all at their fingertips of who we work with, how to contact them. And all of these are actual individual accounts. So then you can say, well, I want to know more about Boulder or Broomfield's fish. And so you can click on Broomfield's fish and now you see like all about that organization. It's the primary contact and all the specifics. So it's quite nice. I can give you other examples of, I think the reports are the kind of the best aspects. So I have, a list of fruit tree accounts. I have, a summary of the Boulder Gleans last year that don't include our pickups, true gleans where we're harvesting the vegetables. I have a list of all of our Boulder farms and orchard partners. So I can see in real time, where they located, who they are, who we've worked with historically, essentially, and who we're currently working with. So that's been really nice for our coordinators to kind of poke around and kind of get an understanding, especially with new coordinators, the lay of the land, so to speak. And then we have sort of these more summary reports. And there's just so many different reports that we kind of have created that we need. So, we have an active volunteers from last year. And the cool thing is you can go in and tweak each one of these very easily. And I could just change it to this year, or I could change it to last year, the last 3 years. So that kind of tweaks are once you get this, it's very easy to change the timeline and you don't have to create a new report. But we can see now I have for every region, this is more summary over the whole organization. It's broken down by each county, and we have all this information at our fingertips. The sum of hours volunteered, the sum of the glean records in each area. So it's just pretty powerful, especially since it can update every single year. So we have all sorts of different things. The vegetables gleaned in 2024, active hunger relief partners. Active would mean like we actually interacted with them that year, not just like all time who we've interacted with. And then just a lot of like summary stats with the glean. Let's see, this one is cool. So it gives you the region. So I have all regions in one spot. It gives me the name of the account, and then it gives me the total pounds that was gleaned from that farm, how many of those pounds were donated, and then we have a sum of the donations. We sometimes make a distinction, or we are making a distinction between what we actually donated and what maybe the volunteers took home. We let volunteers take a minimal amount home and that sort of thing. So sometimes like the pounds gleaned doesn't always match the donations. Like in this instance, right, it's 4 pound difference. But just kind of tracking that, we would never really be able to do that. I think that nuance before is just too much. So it's just been really, we're still learning, we're still kind of figuring it all out, but it's been really powerful. There's one other really cool, this one, Boulder Gleans with the crop summary. I just created this not too long ago, and I thought this was really slick. Ezra helped me, and so I can see each glean, and then we kind of wanted a summary of like, the month. So we have like Boulder County in May, like what were we gleaning, right? And we just have a crop summary, which is really nice. In June, what were we gleaning? Again, this can kind of help coordinators plan, like in an industry where there's not much in our control. It's nice to try to plan as much as you can, or have a heads up of what's coming. And so we're just trying to find ways to sort of figure that out. Like in July, I know I had 15 farm pickups, so that's very busy. In August, I think, so I can see how many on-farm gleans versus how many pickups, and this can help our future planning, essentially. So I think that's kind of most of what I wanted to show you guys today. I think, questions are great, and then I actually had some questions, kind of for everyone else, just to sort of get an idea of what people are doing.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emily. Go ahead and close this out. Or if we have questions.
I would definitely want to like open it up to Q&A. So like anyone that has a question, feel free to like raise your hand or unmute or throw it in the chat or whatever. I did have like one Pseudo question slash comment. I believe, Emily, when you were at, was it a coffee chat that you were at before? I can't remember. We were talking about food safety. And I believe you were talking about, maybe I missed, maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was somebody else, but I remember somebody talking about like there's a way they can kind of track like because you're able to track like where you send stuff and how much you sent to places, you're able to also consider from a food safety standpoint, like if somebody gets sick somewhere to be like, yeah, we're the ones that gave you that spinach or whatever. So I think that's a really interesting, really organized way of going about it. Kind of more of a comment
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that if that was me, and that I haven't thought about that, but that is pretty interesting to think about. Um, because we definitely, do have a record of it, and it's probably unlikely that the same thing got delivered on that day from someone else. So yeah. Hopefully that doesn't come up, and it hasn't come up for us yet, but yeah.
Hopefully with somebody else that's finished. But it's just really great to have the ability to track what went where. So that things like it doesn't necessarily have to be sickness, but like other things that happen down the line, you can kind of track where that's come from. That's a really interesting side effect of being that organized. Awesome. Anyone else have any other questions or thoughts? Or if not, Emily, you can feel free to ask away as well.
I actually have a question of the group. Is anybody using Salesforce right now? I mean, we have Salesforce that we have been using for years and years and years. It's free, but as I kind of inferred initially, it's a lot if you like just getting the nonprofit starter pack and getting it open and then figuring out how to do the reporting. But Alana, were you shaking your head? Do you guys use Salesforce?
Yeah, we do. We have like slightly different ways that we're configuring it, but many of the same things that Emily showed us. And I can't say I really know much about how we got started, and I wouldn't say I'm like an avid user, but it is really helpful for coordinating volunteers and tracking what we harvest and where we deliver it and all that. And it seems like it's a bit of a push to get it started, but it's been really great to have as a resource now.
Yeah, it's interesting just kind of brainstorming. It is like everybody that works with Salesforce, it's a push to get started. And then once you get your reports kind of dialed in, which I mean, Emily, this is fantastic. Once you get all that dialed in, then it's a really, really helpful tool.
Totally. And I think, in a profession where we have an on and off season, there is opportunity to sort of implement, or, that's kind of when we did a lot of this, or, and I kind of took the lead on that, did a lot of this integrating and, signing up the accounts and all of that. So creating the accounts and the reports. And yeah, it was pretty streamless. I mean, I created a lot of reports over time, but like, I think I spent 8 hours one day and just kind of hammered through a lot of reports. It wasn't like, this was 120 hours of work or something. It's pretty intuitive and it's pretty repetitive. So you kind of, if you have the information, you can kind of, we had it in a lot of spreadsheets. So it was just basically putting it. But yeah, David, that was my first question, is who's using Salesforce? And
Yeah. Anybody else? Nobody else. Okay.
I'm curious what is working for you guys, and like what isn't working for you guys, like with, I guess maybe, engaging your volunteers or, tracking stuff. I'd just be curious to hear.
Yeah.
That.
I think one thing that works really well is so our gleaning coordinator role is seasonal, so every year it's somebody new, and it has been like a lifesaver when I'm trying to figure out who to contact, like trying to get last minute volunteers, trying to schedule a glean next week because I have a day open, to just be able to create a report of like what were we doing this time last year, and to be able to do that independently when like all my supervisors are so busy, and it just feels like I can answer so many questions on my own, and it makes things way more efficient. And it just is so cool to call, a farmer we gleaned and say, hey, this time last year we got like 50 pounds of this. Are you harvesting that again? Can we come back? So I think it's like a really good kind of training resource too, since potentially there's a lot of seasonal gleaning roles since this is something that doesn't happen during the winter. So I think that has been something that's worked really well for us. I can't say I really know how it's not working for us. The ways that I use it are pretty straightforward. I feel like Lily Roberts, who's my supervisor, would probably have more of like constructive critiques. But I've really enjoyed it. And once you get the hang of it, oh my gosh, I love a little pie chart. Like it's just beautiful.
So that's awesome, Alana. How do you actually like engage? Do you have a similar thing where you direct people to a website where they sign up through Salesforce? Is that similar to what you guys do?
Yeah, we make a volunteer shift and we tie it to like the donor that's where we're gleaning, and then it pops up on our website. We have like a calendar view. I'm not sure if that's a Salesforce thing or not, but there's a little calendar and it shows all all the shifts that month, and then people click on a shift and they sign up that way.
And then the volunteers go back into Salesforce.
Yes, And there's like an automatic email so they get all the information that they need and the address and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to say everyone's always curious about price, and obviously things change, and what you're quoted is based on what you need to do and the size of your organization and all that, and the year of it getting done. I think they said that, the initial investment for the nonprofit was 10,000, and then, we probably spent a decent more than that with the fine tuning it and customizing, and I would say maybe, 5 to 10, 5 to 7 more than that. But I've seen other programs. His name is escaping me right now, Sarah. But when I presented at the AGO, he was presenting something that's 4,000 a year. That couldn't do nearly as much. And so when you think about it, in that things are going to cost a lot of money in that subscription service. I mean, in 3 years, which is we're now almost 2 years into it, it pays for itself, right? And we won't have to keep paying that 4K a year, especially as we get more independent and don't need to, have Ezra be billing much time. There are weeks where we don't use him at all. So.
That's really interesting. Okay. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
so I think that's all I have.
Awesome. Great. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, or if you do, you can definitely reach out to me and I'll make sure I forward them to Emily as well. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. Emily, thank you. Thank you for sharing. This has been really wonderful. It's such a cool system. Really exciting to hear everything that you guys are doing. Yeah. So thanks, guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks,
Thank
Emily.
you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. See you
All right.
guys.
Bye.